Hello, book lovers and English learners. Welcome to our November live read along. I'm Lydie Bureau. I'm an English teacher in France and also the founder of Lydie's Book Club, a book club for learners of English. In this book club, I host live readings and workshops on adaptations of classics of literature and contemporary novels in their original text. I also tend to prioritize books that are written by women. Each month, we read and explore different books for all levels of English, all different books of adaptations. Yes, and also original novel. Hello, Vivi. Um, and 3 times a month, I meet the members of the book club in a live workshop session to discuss via Zoom to discuss the chapters read over that week so that the members of the book club can improve and develop their critical thinking skills. Hi, Kitty. Thank you for joining tonight. So this is where the magic happens. So you're not just on the receiving end of the language, but you're also producing, and this is how you're going to improve your level in English, your comprehension, but also your ability to articulate sentences. So I encourage you strongly to join the book club to be able to practice your English, your speaking skills more specifically, but also develop this ability to reflect on a novel, on the story and the characters and topics, more general topics. This month we are finishing reading the A2 plus adaptation of The Age of Innocence by Edith Wharton. This is a 2022 Penguin Readers edition. And today, this is our last session. This is it. So if you want to know more about the novel and Edith Wharton's work, I invite you to listen to the podcast episode 26, an introduction to Edith Wharton and the Age of Innocence, which is available on this YouTube channel and also on Spotify podcast Read in English. If you've missed the previous session, you can always go back to the first sessions in the first live reading sessions in the playlist dedicated to the Age of Innocence. Also, you can find out more about writing the Age of Innocence, which is the online exhibit on the Mount's website, which is so the Mount was Edith Wharton's former home in America, in Massachusetts, and this is now a museum, and they have created this amazing online exhibit where you can see the first manuscript of the Age of Innocence. So I invite you to look up to click on the link in the description to look at um, all the object that she used and also how she and learn more about her work, about Edith Wharton's work and the process of writing The Age of Innocence. So today it is our sixth session, live read along session of The Age of Innocence. So we are going to read the final chapters, 11 and 12 tonight. And this Saturday, I will host the second live workshop in which we will cover chapters 5 to 8. So chapters from last week. So we are a little bit behind from the reading, but in the same time, it's a nice way to get the time to reflect on the story and digest a little bit of everything. And also it allows you more time to maybe reread. I know that some of my members need to reread couple times a passage or ch a whole chapter. So you can also listen to the audio file with the code that you have here on the Penguin Reader's book. You just unlock the book, you type the code, and you will be able to listen all the chapters. And I know that it has been very helpful for my members. Um, so that's why I really love those Penguin Readers edition. So if you want to attend this live workshop, then you just need to subscribe to the book club by clicking on the link in the description of this video, and you will find all the upcoming dates of the next workshop. There only going to be another one, so 3 workshop in total. So they're going to be this one in on Saturday and another one next week, next Saturday. So you can still join. So last thing, I'm pleased to announce that now you can purchase the 4-part live workshop on North and South, which was our October live read along. You don't need to become a member to purchase the 4 live sessions that have been recorded. So it's all ready for you to listen. So you will be able to listen to our conversation, and you can also at the same time read the book and also comment maybe on the discussion if you want to on videos, or send me a message, tell me what you think about the sessions. So you just need to, once you purchase the workshop, then you will be asked to create a login with which you will get a private access to the videos and enjoy them at your own pace and whenever you want. So you just click on the link and you will find you end up on the live workshop store. So you will find all the live workshop. There are other workshops that you can purchase. We've done quite a couple since May 2024. So you have a large choice of books and also different levels of books. So have fun, have fun. Right. So let's get started. Um, before I start reading chapter 11, sorry, sorry. So before I start reading chapter 11, I'm going to do a quick recap on chapter 9 and 10, the chapters that we have read yesterday. So chapter 9 was called Troubles Again. Oh, Troubles Begin, my mistake. And it in this chapter, let me refresh my memory. So at this time, let's remember. So Archer has come back to New York, and he is what happened? So Archer learns that the Countess is, where is the Countess? Where is she gone? Um, oh yes, let's remember. Oh gosh. So in this chapter, we learn that Mrs. Mingott has um fallen, or she hurt herself. Um, She had a stroke. She had a stroke. So a stroke you have, which is great with these books, is that you have the word in bold. So she had a stroke, meaning that she had like a sorry. So she had like a heart attack or similar, and and everyone is worried about Granny, Mrs. Mingott, and and Ellen has heard of it, so she has decided to come over to come back to New York to visit her grandmother. Although there is the problem is that someone needs to pick her up to pick Helen up from the station, and straight away Newland Archer offered to go to pick her up, but he had mentioned to May that he was meant to go on a business. He on business. He was meant to go on business in to go to. Sorry, he was meant to go to Washington, where Ellen, the Countess, lives now with her aunt, and because he was, as you can imagine, he was missing the Countess. So he had lied and had said to May that he was meant to go to Washington on business. So the what happened to Mrs. Mingott changed all his plans because he heard that Ellen decided to come over to New York that same week. And that she needs someone to pick her up. So May picked up on this, and she reminded Archer that he was meant to go to Washington this week. And Archer lied again, but said that in the end, Mr. Letterblair asked him to. Oh no, that actually they changed the plan and he would go the following week and not that week. So you can see that May doesn't lose track on what he says, and she makes him accountable in a way, and she's you can imagine that she might be suspicious about the fact that he was meant to go and now he's not meant to go. It's quite convenient because, well, it happens at the same time as Ellen was supposed to come over to New York. So, that being said, he picks her up eventually, and he picks Ellen up at the station, but the train station. But Ellen is quite surprised to see him, and they start having a chat and arguing in a way the fact that they really have to they started arguing that they just have to realize or come to the fact that there is no future for both of them. So, and Ellen is making realize that what they're doing is not bearable anymore. They can't go on, and she doesn't want to lie to to her family, to her cousin. I mean, yeah, Ellen is very conscious of that. And in chapter 10, Hope for the Future, we meet, no, we don't meet, sorry. We have, so the chapter starts with May and Archer having a conversation. And Newland is completely in his own mind and in his head. He's in his head, and you feel that he's unhappy. And May tries to uh, um, to connect in a way, to connect with him, to speak to him, but in the May in her old ways, so without really talking openly, and they argue about this window that Newland wants to open, and May asks him to close it. And after that, what happens? Archer visits Mrs. Mingott, and again, Mrs. Mingott, well, feels better, and she hasn't lost her sense of humor. She's very witty, and I quite like her character. I'd like to know what do you think about Mrs. Mingott in the comments? What do you think about her character? Do you like her or not? Um, I personally find her character quite entertaining in a way, but very well, spicy, I would say. Quite like her. And she speaks her mind. She doesn't care about other people. Um, and the family as well. And she asks actually help from Archer because she wants Ellen to move into her house so that she will look after her, and she wouldn't have to go back to her husband because the whole family now is pushing Ellen to go back. She doesn't have much money now. And her husband as well, the Count Olenski, messaged Mrs. Mingott and asking asking her to tell her to come back home. But Mrs. Mingott doesn't want to do that, and she doesn't want to have to fight with the family. She wants someone to have her back. So she asks Archer to speak for her, um, and convince the whole family that she must stay with Mrs. Mingott. At the same, well, in the meantime, Ellen and well, no, Archer managed to see Ellen and ask her to meet at the Metropolitan Museum. And there they meet, and they again discuss about uh, their feelings for each other. They perfectly know that they wish that they would love they could be together, but there's nothing that they can do. And Ellen cares a lot about her family and the well-being of May, and she is a very um, um, self not selfless, but she's very uh, concerned about uh, May's happiness, and they just got married. So when Archer is asking to fly away or to go somewhere in another country where they could live free, well, it's she brings him back to down to earth and tells him that this country, this ideal, doesn't exist, and we have to deal with the fact that this is a dead end. There is no future for us. There is no us. Right. So that's it. Now let's read chapter 11. Okay. And the title is Unexpected News. Okay. Archer and May were at the opera the next evening. He thought about the night 2 years before when he first met Ellen Olenska. So it's been 2 years now already. He looked across at Mrs. Mingott's box, half expecting to see her there again, but it was empty. Then he looked at May, as beautiful as ever, dressed in white, as on that evening. So the first evening, the opening scene of the novel, there were at the opera as well, and May was wearing a white dress as well. Um, Her words in Florida came back to him. I don't want to be happy if it makes someone else's unhappy. She was a good woman, and he suddenly wanted to tell her the whole truth. So remember when May spoke openly about, spoke her mind for the first time, and when she suspected that he had an affair or that he loved someone else, and that she wouldn't want to be against his feelings for that person. So that was when they were on holiday, well, she was on holiday with her parents, and he came over. She was a good woman, and he suddenly wanted to tell her the whole truth. He got up and went to May's side. My head hurts terribly. Don't say anything to the others, but please come home, he said quietly. At home, they went together into the library, and May put her hand on his. I'm sorry that you don't feel well, she said. Are you working too hard? No, it's not that. Countess Olenska, he started, but his wife lifted a hand to stop him. Oh, why should we talk about Ellen tonight? She said. I know that I haven't always approved of her behavior, but it doesn't matter now that it's all over. What do you mean? He asked. She's going back to Europe. Granny is going to give her money so she can be free of her husband. Archer got up quickly and stood holding on to the bookcase. I thought that you knew, May went on. I thought that you were working on it today in the office. He could not look at her and turn away. How do you know about this? He said at last. Ellen wrote to me this afternoon. She's leaving next week, she says. May went to her husband and pressed one of his cold hands to her face. The following days were painful for Archer, but his picture of the future made him strong. Nothing could stop him following Ellen. He only had to bear the last few days before she left. On the last evening, May gave a goodbye dinner for her cousin and invited all their family and friends. Even the Van der Leydens came, but Archer knew the real meaning of this dinner. New York society was showing that it was on May's side. Everyone believed that Countess Olenska was his lover. And they were helping May to send her away. So basically, everyone know that the Countess and Archer had an affair, but no one says it. Instead, they do everything to get rid of the Countess instead of the scandal, or the family at least makes everything look like it's natural, or like that now the Countess has the money and they do everything to send her back to Europe and support the idea that now she needs to go. Everyone believed that Countess Olenska was his lover. That he was Countess Olenska's lover. Yeah. And they were helping May to send her away. At the dinner, Ellen's face looked pale and almost ugly. But Archer loved it more than ever. It was impossible to speak to her alone. At the end of this terrible evening, the Countess shook his hand and said goodbye. Goodbye, but I shall see you soon in Paris, he answered. His voice felt too loud. So Archer has still hope to for the love to see her in Paris, and for the dream, because remember, Archer is living in this dream of this relationship, of being in this relationship with the Countess, although he's not, because he's so disconnected from his real life that his dream has become his reality, as we mentioned before. Oh, she said quietly, if you and May could come. Then she was gone. When he and May were alone, she stood at the door of his library. May I come in? She asked. She went and sat down near him. So you have this lovely picture that you can, if you have watched the film, you can see this scene with, or in pictures, on Google as well. This is quite a famous scene in the novel and in the adaptation, the film adaptation. So Kitty is saying, unimaginable if May had an affair, the family would have behaved differently. Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But you see, May is having an affair in a way. She's still married, and she is being ostracized and rejected from the family completely. First for daring asking for divorce, but also uh, for having lovers because we know that Beaufort is in love with her, although she's not really into him at all. But yes, you see that um, if it was May who had an affair, oh, it would have been a completely different story for sure. She that I'm sure that Newland Archer wouldn't have married her. He would have been he would have put shame on her, or I think, or the family or the rest of the society would have shamed May. Yeah, for sure. There is something at the end. I don't know if they're going to add it here in the adaptation, but it makes you smile. Um, and it's quite ironic as well. But I'm not sure. Maybe. Let's see. Let's keep reading. Uh, so she went and sat down near him, but neither spoke. There's something that I must tell you. I tried, I tried too the other night, Archie began at last. I feel very tired and I need a rest. I want to go away on a long trip, away from everything. She looked at him quietly. Away? Where? She asked. I don't know, maybe India or Japan. May stood up and went toward him. As far as that? But you can't, dear, without taking me with you. And I'm afraid that the doctors won't let me go. For you see, Newland, I've had some wonderful news today that I have hoped for so much. That I have hoped, that I've hoped for so much. It could not speak. As it dropped to her knees and hid her face against him. As she dropped her as she dropped to her knees and hid her face against him. Didn't you guess? She asked. No, he replied, putting his cold hand on her hair. But of course, I hoped. Have you told anyone else? Only my mother and mine. Only your mother, sorry. It's the end of the day. Only your mother and mine, she said. And Ellen, that afternoon at Granny's when we had a long walk. But that was 2 weeks ago. Didn't you have the news today? So here you see that he's you see that May perhaps didn't she got caught from her from her lie in a way, or from the information that she gives and the logic in a way that of the event, the timing in the event. So, but didn't you have the news today? May looked into his eyes. I wasn't sure then, but I told Ellen that I was. And you see, I was right, she said, her eyes shining. So in the if I read this passage is very interesting in the original text, um, because you can see how manipulative May has been here. Because as you can understand, 2 weeks ago, she told, I think that because she probably knew that that she was certain at this point that there was something going on with these two and that she had to stop this. And and she made Ellen believe that she was pregnant, but she wasn't sure at the time. But she said that she was. So she lied to Ellen about being pregnant. So here it is. So um, here the passage. She oh where is it? I need to. Okay. So here she says, only Mama and your mother. She paused and then added hurriedly, the blood flushing up to her forehead. That is, and Ellen, you know, I told you we'd had a long walk one afternoon and how dear she was to me. Ah, said Archer, his heart stopping. He felt that his wife was watching him intently. Did you mind? Did you mind my telling? Sorry, it's um, Maya talking. Did you mind my telling her first, Newland? Mind? Why should I? Why should I? He made a last effort to collect himself. He's actually very angry. But that was a fortnight ago. 2 weeks ago. But that was a fortnight ago, wasn't it? I thought you said you weren't sure till today. Her color burned deeper, but she held his gaze, his eyes. Now, no, I wasn't sure then, but I told her I was. And you see, I was right, she exclaimed, her blue eyes wet with victory. So you see the slight difference. We can see here that in their eyes, that the way that Edith Wharton described her eyes with victory, blue eyes wet with victory. So I got you, you and Ellen, both of you in a way. I won in a way. So the society was stronger than the two of them. They crushed them. Oh, hello, good evening, Elif. Where are you from? Tell me if you you seem to speak English. Thank you for joining. We are reading The Age of Innocence. Have you read this book? So this is the original text, and we are reading the adaptation. So, yes. And here they adapted by saying her eyes shining. Right, so now we are going to read chapter 12. A visit to Paris. So now you can understand why Ellen decided to leave um, um, uh, to leave New York and why she decided to put an end to their relationship. And so, Edith, hi Abdai, thank you for joining the live tonight. I'm from Turkey, but I live in France. Ah, amazing. Ah, I hope that you're enjoying living in France. And tell me if you know about the Age of Innocence. Do you like reading in English? If you want to join the book club, you just go on lidisbookclub.com on the website. And if you want to improve your English and discuss the book, talk about books and stories, and improve your English, your speaking, then I'll be happy to have you live in the workshop. If you want to join, we have a live workshop this Saturday. If you want to join us, you just subscribe and join the book club. Right, I'm going to read chapter 12 now. Newland Archer sat at the desk in his library. In this room, 26 years ago, he first learned that May was expecting a baby. So now, flash forward 26 years later. So 26 years has passed now. So Newland is in his 50s, nearly 60 years old, and let's see what happens. What happened between these 20 years, in these last 20 years. It was in this room that their eldest son, Dallas, took his first steps, and that years later, his daughter, Mary, announced her engagement. It was here that he and May always spoke about the future of all three of their children. Looking back, Archer knew that something was always missing from his life, the flower of life. But how many people ever found that anyway? When he thought about Ellen Olenska, she seemed unreal, like someone in a book or a picture. So Elif is saying, I love learning English. I'm level B2. I don't know this book. Oh, B2. Great. You have a very good English, a very good level. And I'm sure that you definitely be able to discuss the book if you like reading and reading English novels. We've been reading classics, adaptations of classics. This is an American novel from Edith Wharton. She was American and she lived half of her life in France. She was born in New York and she traveled a lot with her parents throughout Europe. And she, around 1910, she moved permanently to France. So she moved to Paris. And there she bought a house outside in the north of Paris. And she lived here while during the First World War and everything. She helped with the First World War, and then she afterwards, just after the war, she published this novel, and it reminded her. She reminded herself about her life when she was young in this high society, surrounded by this high society of New York, where the New York that she knew when she was young. So this is what the story is about. And today we're finishing reading this story. So we're reading now the last chapter. So this book is an adaptation of the original text, which is the original book, which is this one. So that's the original text. And we're reading an adaptation. But of course, I like to, like I did just a few a couple minutes ago, I like to read passages from the original text, uh, and have a feeling of um, what it will how of the atmosphere and the character as well, the personality of them, and have a little bit of an idea of the style of the author as well. Uh, because I know that sometimes it can be scary to read authentic text, original text, um, especially when it's written in Old English. So this novel dates from the 20th century. So it's not so Old English, but still there is a lot of words that we do not use anymore. Um, but um, uh, but still, if you're really into English, you want to improve your English, and you want to discover um, these novel and have a go at reading the original text, then that can give you an idea. I made a video on YouTube about my three favorite quotes from the novel. So you can also listen to that video in which I quote the original text. So it's a short video that you can listen to and have an idea of the style and the level of English as well. Okay, so let's keep on reading. So, it was there that he and May always spoke about the future of all three children, of their children. Looking back, Archer knew that something was always missing from his life, the flower of life. But how many people were ever found? Uh, how many people ever found that anyway? When he thought about Ellen Olenska, she seemed unreal, like someone in a book or a picture. Sorry. He was true. He was true to May for the whole of his long marriage and missed he was true to May for the whole of his long marriage, and he missed her terribly when she died. So here we learn that May has died. Their marriage was never exciting, but they always did what was right. Archer knew that there was good in the old ways, after all. Suddenly, the telephone in his desk rang. Remember, they talked about the telephone, the invention of the telephone, and now it's 26 years later and they actually use the telephone. But only rich people could afford a telephone. I I assure you, because this is 90 no 80 maybe 1900s, because it was 70 90 18 yeah 1890s, yeah. And yeah, the very end of the 19th century, and he's got a telephone on his desk, and it was ringing. How easy it was now to speak to someone a long way away. It was Dallas in Chicago, wanting to speak about traveling together to Europe. Archer wanted to have this time alone with his son before Dallas and Fanny Beaufort were married. But since May's death 2 years before, he was becoming more and more afraid of new things. So we learned that, first of all, we learned that Dallas is marrying Fanny Beaufort, which is not really explained here, but Fanny Beaufort is, well, as you can understand from her last name, she is Beaufort's daughter. And as the new generations or society evolves and the arrival of new generations, new costumes and tradition evolves as well. And if 20 years ago this the marriage wouldn't have been accepted because Beaufort was the plague, he was not a non-honorable man, with the cheating and also the loss of a lot of money of other people from the society. This this couple, I mean, Dallas wanting to marry Fanny wouldn't have been possible, but because now it's 20 years later, things have changed, um, um, and rules are more flexible in a way. So they, it seems like it's all fine now. So Dallas is about to marry Fanny Beaufort, and we learn also that May has died only 2 years ago. Archer stood looking out his hotel window at the lively. So, yeah, so, okay, they'd skip the part. So, Dallas actually convinced his dad to go on a trip to Paris. And you know who is in Paris. Well, it's not stated here exactly, but you can guess, maybe. The archer stood looking out his hotel window at the lively Paris street, his heart beating fast. This was her home. Her is in italic. So her, as you might guess, is Ellen. Many years ago, he pictured himself here in the beautiful spring sunshine in a day like today. Now that he was here, looking at it, he felt small and unimportant. Dallas came up behind him and put a hand on his shoulder. I've got a message for you, Dad. Countess Olenska expects us both at 5:30 p.m., he said lightly. Archer looked at him, shocked. Just dropped the bomb. Oh, didn't I tell you? Dallas went on innocently. I promised Fanny to see the Countess while we're here. When Beaufort first sent Fanny to Paris, Countess Olenska was very kind to her. So I telephoned her this morning. Archer looked hard at his son. She knows that I'm here? Of course. Why not? Then, getting no answer, Dallas went on. What was she like, Dad? Wasn't she once, well, the woman of your dreams? My dreams. Yes. Mother spoke to me alone the day before she died. She promised me that we were safe with you because once, when she asked, you gave up the thing that you most wanted. And I love this quote. Archer looked out the window, seeing nothing. At last, he said quietly, she never asked me. I'm going to read the passage in the novel, and it's so poignant to realize that how twisted and yeah, had tricked the whole situation, how he felt, but in the way, but yeah. No, neither of you asked or told the other anything, did you? You just sat and watched and guessed. But I think that you both knew more about the other's private thoughts than we young people know about our own. Dallas stopped. Dad, you're not angry with me, are you? If you are, I'm sorry. Hmm. So Dallas is very true here, saying that he as he grew up as now an adult, he has seen that their parents never really talked to each other, and and you can see the difference between the parents and the new generation, the kids behaving very differently and being more open about their feelings. Archer was not angry. He only needed time alone to think. He felt relieved, after all, to learn that May knew and understood. It was evening now, and the light was soft as he and Dallas entered the little tree-lined square. It's here, said Dallas, putting his arm through his father's. She lives up here, up there. He pointed at some windows behind the top of the trees. So here there is a lovely image, lovely illustration here of Archer sitting on the bench. And you can see the window here from, yeah, we can imagine that this is the house, the entrance of the house, and the window here of the apartment. It's here, said Dallas, putting his arm through his father's. She lives up there. He pointed at some windows behind the tops of the trees. Archer studied the windows and then looked away. I'll sit here for a moment, he said, walking toward a seat. Aren't you well? Cried his son. I'm perfectly well, but I'd like you to go up without me. Do you mean that you won't come up at all? Replied Dallas in surprise. I don't know, said Archer slowly. Please, go up. I might follow you. But what shall I tell her? Shall I say that you're old-fashioned because you prefer using the stairs to the lift? His father smiled. Just say that I'm old-fashioned. That's enough. Dallas looked at his father. And here again, the opposition between old-fashioned and new. The fact that in the end, Archer belonged to that old New York still. Although he tried to escape at some point and go towards the new and the exciting future, but not for him. Dallas looked at his father, then walked away and into the building. It's not the house, it's the building, sorry. Archer sat looking up at the windows. He pictured Dallas going up in the lift, ringing at the door, going inside. Then he thought of the woman already there, dark and pale, sitting on the sofa near the fire, a wall of flowers behind her. Remember that she always had flowers in her flat when she was in New York because there were always people, a man, more specifically Beaufort, who was sending her flowers, and he sent her flowers as well. It's more real to me here than if I go up, he suddenly heard himself say. The minutes passed. He sat in the growing dark, his eyes never moving from the building. At last, a light shone through the windows, and a moment later, a servant came to close the curtains. At that, Archer slowly got up and walked back to his hotel alone. And that's it. If you remember the scene where Ellen is on the pier and she turns her back from uh, from the from him. She turns her back on him and she's just facing the sea, and he's telling himself, okay, so if the boat is just looking at the ocean and the shore, and he's telling himself because he doesn't know if he wants to go to her or not, and he tells himself that if the boat reaches the little island, um, and she doesn't turn back before he reaches the island, um, then he will go. And she doesn't turn her back, so he goes. And it feels a little bit similar than here when he waits a sign in a way. He waits for a sign with the servant closing the curtains, and then this is when he decides uh, to go. So perhaps that if Ellen herself had come to the window, maybe it would have been a different story, or I don't know, different end. But time has passed, and Newland is an old man now, and almost like he wants to keep what they had, this little window of escapism they had together, and this brief love that they had together, um, intact, and just leave it there, leave it in the past. Yeah. Kitty is saying he wanted to keep the image of Ellen and don't see her as an old woman, and not see her as an old woman. I Yeah, or maybe is self-conscious. He's perhaps worried about what she would think of him, also, perhaps, and is scared of being in love with her again and opening those wounds of heartbroken of his heart being broken, because I think that he was crushed by the fact that he couldn't be with her, that she by the fact that she left. Um, so yeah, I'm not sure if it's really the fact that, because remember when they had the dinner, even if she looked pale and not at her best at all, he loved her more. I don't I want to think, well, that's the my romantic side that would say that I don't think he cares much about um how she looks, really. Or maybe he's more self-conscious about how he looks, but I don't think that's yeah, the the issue here. I think it's more about the feelings, I would say. Well, that's my how I see it, and the fact that their love was bigger than just appearances. Um, but I agree with you with the fact that he wants to keep the image of Ellen and their love, their feelings, and the brief moment that they spent together intact. Yeah. And don't want necessarily to leave this relive again those feelings, maybe because this it's too late in a way. Maybe his what is done, and that's it. So let me read this passage just to finish off the session. Um, mm, okay, okay. So, oh yeah, this is it's quite nice. Um, okay, dash it, Dad. So remember when he talks about the fact that he uh, he announces his father that the Countess is knows that he's there and that she's waiting for them for I don't know 3 o'clock. Can't remember the time. Dash it, Dad. Don't be prehistoric. Wasn't she once your Fanny? So Fanny is his wife. So oh, is his soon to be wife. They're engaged. Oh, sorry. Maybe I will read a little bit beforehand, before this passage. Wasn't she most awfully lovely? Lovely? I don't know. She was different. Uh, Archer felt, sorry, I say, Father, what was she like? Archer felt his color rise under his son's unabashed gaze. Come on, come, own up. You and she were great pals, weren't you? Wasn't she most awfully lovely? Lovely? I don't know. She was different. Ah, there you have it. That's what it always comes to, doesn't it? When she comes, she's different. And once doesn't know why. It's exactly what I feel about Fanny. His father drew back a step, releasing his arm. About Fanny? But my dear fellow, I should hope so. Only I don't see. Dash it, Dad. Don't be prehistoric. Wasn't she once your Fanny? So Ellen, Dallas belonged body and soul to the new generation. He was the firstborn of Newland and May Archer. Yet it had never been possible to inculcate in him even the rudiments of reserve. What's the use of making mysteries? It only makes people want to nose them out. He only objected when enjoined to discretion. But Archer, meeting his eyes, saw the filial light under the banter, their joke. My Fanny, well, the woman you'd had chucked everything for. I only you didn't, continued his surprising son. I didn't, echoed Archer, with a kind of solemnity. So, in the sense that here we see that the son clearly says out loud that we know that you never loved our mother, that you just married her because this is what you were supposed to do, but you loved someone else. We know that. So yeah, don't faff around and tell us and be true to yourself and don't yeah don't bullshit me in a way. Um, well, I didn't. I didn't, echo Archer with a kind of solemnity. No, you date, you see. My fan, sorry, where was I? Only you didn't, continued his surprising son. I didn't, echoed Archer with a kind of solemnity. No, you date, you see, dear old boy. But mother said, oh yeah, so it's his son. But mother said, your mother? Yes, the day before she died, it was when she sent for me alone. You remember? She said she knew we were safe with you and always would be, because once, when she asked you to, you'd given up the thing you most wanted. So you see that from the beginning, she knew that he gave up Ellen for her and for the society, for the family, in a way, and the image of the Archers and the Wellens. Archer received this strange communication in silence. His eyes remained unseeingly fixed on the thronged, sunlit square below the window. At length, he said in a low voice, "She never asked me." Of course she didn't. They don't talk, remember? So, no, I forgot. You never did. No, I forgot. You never did ask each other anything, did you? And you never told each other anything. You just sat and watched each other and guessed at what was going on underneath. A deaf and dumb asylum, in fact. Well, I back your generation for knowing more about each other's private thoughts than we ever have time to find about our own. I say, Dad. Dallas broke off. You're not you're not angry with me? If you are, let's make it up and go and lunch at Henry's. I've got to rush out to Versailles afterward. Anyway, this is it. So you can see that it's quite the adaptation is quite true to the text, at least for the the important quotes from the text, as the one that Newland says, like, no, she never asked. Yeah, it's a tricky. I wonder how you feel about that sentence from Archer. That response from Archer about the fact that, in a way, he resents May for not asking, not being open about what she was asking him. But don't you think that sometimes it's hard to ask someone to do something, and especially a loved one? You don't want to have to ask for it, and you would rather that the other person understands themselves what you mean. I can understand in a way this kind of situation. But uh, anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this last live reading session, and that you would want to join the conversation in the book club and talk more, have a whole workshop to discuss these last chapters. I hope you enjoyed this live reading. Thank you for joining live. Thank you, Elif and Kitty, for listening to the reading and sharing your thoughts on the characters. So make sure you watching this video that you subscribe to the book club to join our live workshops, and share your view on the novel, and develop your English as well. I wish you a beautiful rest of the day, and I will see you. Yes, I will see you on Saturday, Kitty. I will see you on Saturday, the 7th of December, also at 3 p.m. for a new podcast episode celebrating the 250 years anniversary of the birth of Jane Austen, and to celebrate um, this birthday, which will be next year, actually. 2025 will be the 250 year anniversary of Jane Austen, and on this occasion, this December we are going to read the B1 uh, intermediate level of Sense and Sensibility. This is our next live read along next month. And next year, we will continue to celebrate her legacy. Yay! I'm excited too, Kitty. Um, so next year, we will continue to celebrate her legacy by reading other adaptations from Jane Austen. So stay with us, stay tuned. So next week, next year, pick other we'll pick other adaptations, and I can't wait to start reading Jane Austen, well, Sense and Sensibility with you guys. And for the moment, I'll say good evening and bye for now. Bye bye. See you soon.